Hello everybody and welcome back to Apple Gaming SE, and I finally got one of my favorite RPGs, Trails of Cold Steel 3, working on Ryujinx. I don't really know what's changed over the last few months, but the last time I did this was like 4 or 5 months ago, and Trails of Cold Steel would crash constantly near the beginning of the game after part of the prologue. You would do the first battle with, we'll say, the first major boss of the game, and then the cutscene after that, it would inevitably crash. So we're going to take a look at performance today. We're going to start out in handheld mode with all of the defaults. This is me just setting up the controller. So we're going to do all of the default graphics settings, 720p for handheld, 1080p for docked mode, and I have the metal performance HUD up so we can take a look at it. And right out the gate, you will notice even here in just the menus, the frame delivery is pretty choppy. It's staying about 30 FPS, but the reality is that the frame times are dropping and spiking, so it feels way less smooth. Even here, just rotating the camera around Reen and going through the other characters in this opening area, you'll notice that it's pretty poor. Now the menu feels a little bit smoother, but as we can tell from the performance graph, the frame delivery is not any better at all. So this is kind of the general gameplay experience as we move through the 720p component. Here I just adjust some of the characters and my positioning around a little bit. So I'll let the video play. I'll jump in every now and then just to offer some commentary as we adjust the graphical settings. But here I will let you just kind of experience the game for what it is. In the menu, in combat, in cutscenes.
Our chance to attack!
Now here you may just want to back up a little bit and just re-listen to the audio as it enters this combat sequence, and you'll notice that it sounds like the audio is just a little bit clippy, like it's just clipped just a hair and the quality isn't quite what we were hoping it would be. So just take a listen to that, something to be aware of if you're going to emulate this.
My turn. Battle complete. Let's continue. We have the advantage.
Now as we come into the 1080p mode, when this is docked, so this is supposed to be emulating the Switch as it is in docked mode, you will note that the performance is about the same on the frame time graph. It's not really any better. We might be sticking to 29 FPS a little closer than we did to 30 like we did with Handheld, but the frame deliveries are still so bad that I think it's ultimately a moot point. It's just a technical notation there. You'll notice also that it didn't sound like the audio clipping was quite as bad when we entered combat this time, and I'm wondering if that's because as we go through the various combat sequences and we do the animations, these shaders get cached in the system, so it creates fewer, we'll say, distortions from trying to load the content out of an uncached buffer. So I'll go ahead and let this battle finish out, and we'll watch the following cutscene just so you can have a better idea of how this game plays out when performing at 1080p in the default graphics settings.
Arcus activate.
Huh. My turn. Arcus activate.
It's my turn! Set! Gunner! Ah! Wide open!
It's mine. It's my turn. Ah! Huh. Behold the Vander style.
Last thing to note here on this section is that even in these text-only screens where the screen is all black, you can see that graphics performance is still pretty bad. It's still hovering around 29 frames per second, and the frame delivery is terrible. For the first graphics modification, I decided to stay pretty conservative, leading at the native resolution. I switched back and forth between docked and handheld and noticed no real changes. I set the FXAA and the anthroposcopic filtering to half of its maximum. Listened for the audio.
My turn. Yeah.
Done this quick!
You'll notice the entering battle audio clipping just as with the other graphics settings. Again, here frame times looking pretty bad, maybe just a little bit worse than they were previously in the docked 1080p with all of the native settings. But then we're also getting some hits at 30 as well. But I would still say that this is pretty poor performance when trying to emulate the game.
Arcus activate.
Huh. Let's go. Sit. My turn.
Yeah!
All right! Yeah! Well, look at that.
I wanted to go ahead and let this longer part of the game play out here as we go into a mini boss battle, just to give you an idea of how the game would perform during a more intense combat situation. So if you're interested in doing this, you'll kind of get an idea for what you'll need to consider as far as reaction times go and so forth. One interesting thing to note here as we go into this battle, there is not going to be any audio clipping as the battle commences, which is a very interesting change. So I wonder if the audio files finally got cached in the background, but I'll let this section play out for you.
Now, brace yourself. Very well. Strike! Eight's down. Yuna!
I got it!
Huh.
There!
Let's go!
All right! Ha!
I shall go. I'll support. Arjun.
Thanks!
Thanks.
My turn! Yeah!
It's my turn! Take this! Wide open! Kurt!
Leave it to me! I'm up! This is nothing. This isn't good. Yeah.
My turn. SMAA activate. Fire.
I need to do something! Set! Striker!
Let's go! Get back! Now!
I'll assist. Was my support helpful?
Yeah, thanks as always.
Yeah, I did it!
I must train even more.
Stats updated.
These final couple sections of the video I need to explain a little bit. So I had started playing around a lot with the various graphic settings when I had noticed that upping the resolution suddenly makes the frame time graph basically flatten out. So the GPU gets more heavily utilized, and then the frame delivery from the CPU is much more consistent. My assumption as to why that's occurring is that the GPU wasn't being utilized heavily enough when the graphics are at a lower setting. Therefore, it was causing the CPU to try to deliver the graphics much more quickly. I'm not really sure. It seems like the CPU is being much more heavily utilized when the graphics are low, which I know in some other testing you can look at Digital Foundry videos about it. What I'm trying to explain is that when the graphics are at a lower setting and you have a hard frame rate cap of 30 FPS, such as in this game, the CPU and GPU basically go back and forth very rapidly between the data that's trying to be delivered to the screen, which is why we see such terrible frame rates or frame consistency in prior segments at lower settings. You'll also notice here it's not particularly great, but it's significantly improved, as the GPU is now hitting 60% utilization most of this entire cutscene segment. So as we go into the final battle, I'm also going to adjust the graphics settings just a little bit more. I'm going to bring the graphics, the resolution down to 2x and put FXAA back on, and we're going to leave anthroposcopic filtering at its maximum.
Its ability to act autonomously is useful. This will be your final challenge in this trial.
Is he serious?
What is wrong with him? This is going too far!
They're not capable of taking on a magic knight. Only one thing I can do. Heed my call! Valimar!
The use of a divine knight is prohibited for this trial. Level 0 was not calibrated to account for its intervention. Were you to use it against such an opponent, the data I would receive would be useless. You do have another option available to you, Schwarzer.
Against this?
Or if you'd prefer, you may choose to activate the new function installed in the Arcus 2s.
Please activate Brave Order. Olivier, Prince Oliver said that you would be able to use it for sure, Instructor.
I bid you felicitations on your recent graduation, delayed by duty though it was. I also wish to thank you from the bottom of my heart, Reed. These may seem on the paltry side as a gift for such an occasion, but I'd like for each of you to have the newly completed Arcus 2. I've added some fun little communication features to it, just for you. There are a few other new functions that can only be described as brilliant, so do give them a try next time you find yourself in a pinch.
All right, will do. What is this?
I feel some kind of energy coming from him.
A combat link? No, it's different.
Prepare to engage in combat! Brave Order. Class 7 Special Operations. Put everything you have into defeating the target!
Yeah!
Now starting here, I pulled the graphics resolution back down just a little bit and I was spinning the camera around just to get a feel for what it looks like, and you'll notice that it stays pretty close to 30 FPS and it's pretty flat. GPU utilization here is also in the 20s, which is very interesting. So I guess a lot of the background assets get pulled out of memory when you're going into combat. As we go through the sequence, you'll notice that the only real time that the frame rate takes a big hit is when a lot of the on-screen alpha effects are occurring. So right here with this attack, you'll notice that there was a little bit of distortion. So as the attack hits the boss, it creates an alpha effect distortion around the character model that's being attacked. And you'll notice here, this doesn't cause any alpha effects. It's basically just like a visual layer on top of what you're seeing. And you'll notice that the frame rate stays pretty consistent. So here, there's a hit, a little bit of alpha effects, you see some distortion, and then we go back to flat. So this is a really, really good performance. I think this is kind of the sweet spot for this game. But as you notice, you'll notice as we go through this battle, as more occurs and the battle kind of pulls out a little bit, I reposition some of the characters around the map. It does start to dip a little bit, but overall performance is pretty consistent here at 30 FPS or near 30 FPS. So hard to be critical of it. I think this is the sweet spot. 2x resolution and FXAA 16x antroscopic filtering. So antroscopic filtering set to maximum. And you're going to get pretty good performance. As I say that, right here in this section, you'll notice that there was a lot of disruption with the frame time delivery there. It's going to go up and down some, but overall, like I said, I think this is pretty good.
Take this!
Not yet!
My turn!
Thanks.
Let's go!
All right!
Strength depleted. I'm sorry.
Let's go!
It's my turn! Set! Striker! Arcus activate!
Yeah!
Thank you.
Let's go! Let's go! Raging fire formation! My turn! Let's go! My blade, calm as still water. Now! 7th slash! Fallen leaves! Yeah!
My turn.
Let's go! Raging fire formation!
Now. Search mode activate. Detailed information obtained.
All right! Take this!
I got it! Ha! Let's go!
Now.
My turn! Strike!
All right. Take this! Okay, let's keep moving.
All right, got it!
Yeah, I did it!
I must train even more.
Stats updated.
So as we leave the battle and we go into this final cutscene segment, just one last comment I want to make. That you'll notice as the camera moves around the combat area, the frame time stays pretty consistent, GPU utilization is pretty consistent, but as we get into a segment here in just a moment, you'll notice that as the camera is panning and moving, that you're starting to see it here, the frames are starting to become very choppy. And I think that the game, because the game itself on the Switch is limited to 4 gigabytes, I think it is actually actively trying to load out and load back in textures on the screen itself, and that's where we're seeing some of this performance issues. Again, we're not seeing it as severely as it was earlier in the segment when we were at a low frame rate or low resolution, but here at a higher resolution when the CPU is more engaged, you'll notice that it is less consistent, or less of an issue. So here again, pretty consistent, and you'll notice as the conversation continues and the camera starts to move, it starts to become choppy again. Not really noticeable because you're staying very close to 30 FPS, but just doing a little bit of a technical analysis here. That being said, I'm going to call it here for this video. I hope you have all enjoyed it. This has been enlightening and informative for you. If this is something that you are looking to do with your Intel-based Mac, just be aware these might be some issues that you run into. Hopefully in the near future I can get an Apple Silicon Mac to test the game there and see what it's like, and maybe we can do a little comparison between Intel and Apple Silicon when it comes to game emulation. So that being said, I hope you all have yourselves a fantastic week. God bless you all. I look forward to seeing you all in the next video, and take care in the meantime. Like and subscribe if you have not already. Bye-bye now.
But it's something I want you to decide for yourselves.